Sometimes a player excels so well at a video game that if they are ever to be spectated by someone who is quite impressed with their skills, they might say, "Wow, you can probably beat this with your eyes closed." You would then chuckle to yourself and continue playing. What if there were people who actually took it that extra step and at the very least tested the waters out to see how far they can get without any sort of visual direction? No way to tell where you are, how you're doing, or when you're going to finish. We're going to take a look at a few people who broke through what was thought to be a virtually unrealistic barrier for these games and explain what makes them so special. These are 5 amazing blindfolded moments in video games. If you haven't seen Summoning Salt's video on the history of Blindfolded Punch-Out, I would highly advise watching it. There's quite a bit of documented history regarding the progression of beating Punch-Out blindfolded. Getting halfway through the game was impressive enough, but over the years knowledgeable players all around began to collaborate how to get further and further. Jack Wedge, a veteran of the game, was caught into some extremely unfortunate weather that practically trapped him inside his house. During his week of being snowed in, he had used in-depth knowledge from various players and himself to put his skills to the test. Through the likes of input buffering, audio cues, pattern memorization, and a little bit of improvising, Jack was able to pull off the first blindfolded completion of the game, timing Mike Tyson out with a 14-0 record on January 29, 2015.
Yes! $14 and 0. Wow.
The world record for this run is 20:27 by MPAP on May 4th, 2018, which is only 2 minutes slower than the regular any percent world record.
和子カルソタいらっしゃい
Completing a platformer blindfolded requires a different type of thinking. You need to envision yourself making every jump and knowing where every jump will land you. Kidameke ne Dodai implements a ton of clever tactics in his 17-minute run of the game. Some are more subtle than others, most notably the musical cues he uses in certain levels. Like in the Donut Ghost House, he waits a few beats of the song before walking left to get past the level without running into the boo circle.
Jump. Jump. Stop.
He also does something very similarly not long after, as you can see him slightly nodding his head to the beat of the song as he's ready to fly upwards to the platform to get to the boo fight.
よし 012
There are also some jumps that require not a lot of frames of leeway, like in Star World 4 on the rotating platforms. Lastly, you can't forget his classic counting tactic of 012 whenever he needs to approach a door, make an important jump, or some other significant movement option he needs to do in order to get through the game.
0123456
Kidameke de Dodai's celebration is one very deserving, and would be the first to complete the game blindfolded on July 26, 2016.
よっしゃーよしよしよしよし今マジちょっと待って痛い痛い痛いマジで
The current world record for this run is by Catoon24 with a time of 12:25. I went over this score in my Through the Fire and Flame score progression video, but I absolutely felt like it deserved to be on this list as well. This was a song that revolutionized the Guitar Hero scene for being harder than anything the other games could offer at the time. Even when the game began to decline in popularity, people found ways to bring the spirit of the game back by tackling the song in the most absurd ways possible, and Randy decides to do the unthinkable. A 7-minute song filled with insane sections such as Bridge 1, What The, and Twin Solo, combined with the most absurd muscle memory possible, allowed Randy to full combo a song no one thought was possible without a blindfold at one point in time.
My own NFC. Oh! Woo! Hell yeah! Yes. Oh my god! Holy shit! Oh! Oh my god! Holy fucking...
So yeah, I'm ready whenever.
After Sinister 1's phenomenal attempt at beating the NES version of Punch-Out! In AGDQ 2014, Zallard 1 then took the stage for his own rendition on Super Punch-Out! For the SNES. This run was both amazing and actually quite comedic at times. His calm demeanor in the beginning fights as he casually knows the exact time he gets after knocking someone out is nothing short of hilarious.
I usually get like 690 on them. I don't know if that's accurate, but I'm guessing that's right too.
However, as he gets more and more into the game, you notice him either taking a sigh of relief or looking down smiling in disbelief that he is making it this far, showing that maybe he didn't expect to do this well at such a renowned event with tens of thousands of people watching. What was an attempt to beat the game blindfolded live was now becoming a reality. After beating Narcissus Prince in the rematch, then clutching Hoy Corlo after being knocked down twice and cruising through Rick Bruiser, he then made it to the final fighter, Nick Bruiser, and said this before his fight.
Okay, so the last fight in the game, I have to hit a random counter. I can't see the counter, so I need some luck.
Near the beginning of the fight, Zallard 1 had to pull off a counter in order to be able to throw his punch afterwards. What he didn't expect was that he would do this counter frame perfect and almost messed up because of this.
Uh-oh. I accidentally did a frame perfect counter. And I had to adjust for it.
He then finished the fight pretty smoothly to cap off one of the best moments in AGDQ and in Super Punch-Out! History.
Oh man, this is actually real.
Super Mario Bros. Has been out for almost 34 years now. We've seen the game being taken to its absolute limit in terms of how fast it could be beaten, down to the very last frame. A blindfolded run, however, seemed like a pipe dream. There have been attempts in the past, but no one really got that close. It was something that didn't really seem viable given how tight certain jumps were and the insane amount of muscle memory needed to complete these jumps without any way of seeing. A fire suit was pretty much necessary for this run too, since your only way of knowing where you were was by shooting fireballs at enemies or checking to see if you were near a wall or not. This meant you had to complete the game without taking a single hit or dying until the end of 8-4 if you wanted to even have a chance at getting through any level after 1-1. Kidameke de Dodai's run had a moment that was as close as you could possibly get. In 8-3, he was a little over halfway through the level and realized he had under 100 seconds of in-game time, which is roughly 40 seconds in real time. While he realized he was constrained on time when the music started to speed up, what he didn't expect was to finish the level at one of the very last possible frames before the timer ran out. The timer hit 0, but he jumped right before the game told him his time was up and latched onto the flag to get to 8-4, in the most dramatic fashion possible. Despite how visibly nervous he was, he actually had a relatively calm and collected 8-4 for the most part. He almost couldn't contain himself in the last screen, but stuck to his standard counting tactic, jumped through the hammers to become the first and only person to have beaten this game blindfolded, 31 years after its release on January 27th, 2016.
Zero, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, いけ
Blindfolded accomplishments in video games are some of the most astounding feats anyone can achieve. The ability to immerse yourself in your own world of the game you are playing with no visual guidance is nothing short of amazing, especially when you are able to take it to the limits these players took. These last few years have certainly set an interesting precedent for video games, and it will only be a matter of time before we see more and more video games being beaten without the ability to look at the screen. Let me know if you guys want me to do a part 2, as I'll most likely do another one if enough people find this interesting. Shoutouts to patrons Oam, Penda, Princesswell, Spencer, and Water is Good for supporting the channel, and feel free to support me on Patreon for more content like this, along with my other links below. I'll see you all in whatever video I upload next, and take care.